If anyone is uncomfortable being recorded, I would encourage you not to speak, and just to let us know as well if there's any concern that you have about that. And we will address that concern. So moving back up, Lou talked about the 6-week break coming up, yes, for our representatives. And that's a great idea. His idea is to invite these individuals to experience growler practice. Go for it. I think that's really important. So contact your representatives and invite them. And that might be something that you as a community want to do, that you can work together to say, we want you to come to Camano and we want to take you to these various points in time, and it has to be at a time when they're flying, of course. Let's see. And Lou also said, and so that our follow-up with our elected officials, just to acknowledge that we are now working to set a face-to-face meeting with each of those elected officials, preferably them. We've been meeting with their staff members, but we want to meet with them in the month of August. And to have a chance to follow up with our request for their help to get us everything from the data from the real-time noise monitoring study to the flight patterns and so forth. So Lou also said the EIS appeared to be deficient in several regards. Absolutely. It ignores Camano Island impacts altogether. That's really an important point. It also ignores the adverse economic impacts on private property values, both residential and commercial. Thank you. Yes, really important. I'm going to plug in my power cord. Phil, can you see the chat? Can you keep going with the questions and moving up from Lou Q to Bob Tivol?
I am not seeing the chats.
Okay, no problem. I am plugged in now. Will not run out of battery. Okay, let's see. We have folks from all over Camano, which is great. So I'm wondering if any of the folks who have written about the impacts want to tell us any more about that, and also if there are other questions that you bring to this meeting.
I have a comment. I don't have a question.
Mm-hmm.
This is Paul from Anacortes.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Go for it.
I did some checking when I first started learning about these growlers, and I was out on Boeing's website. And my understanding is their main function is offensive, not defensive. And I found that to be a pretty important point when talking to people who seem to think they're protecting us, which seems to be the assumption, because people just assume our military is protecting us. And so when they understand that these things are the first things that go into Iraq or name the country to undertake some kind of offensive action, that's their function. And that seems to resonate with people more than a lot of things. And so I'm not sure if that's where you're going with this discussion, but
that's
anyhow,
really
it seems to get support. And so anyhow, I just thought I'd throw that out there, that that's right on Boeing's website. And I'm not making this up. So
yeah, no, I get
anyhow,
that. I get that a lot, especially when I'm writing stuff for Nextdoor, that's always thrown into my face, is that they're here protecting us. And that is a very, very, very good point. And if there's anything going on, they're going to be on an aircraft carrier heading somewhere. And but you're right, that's exactly what their mission is electronic warfare, to go into they go in first to jam the radars and do all trying to take advantage of or to wipe out the electronic countermeasures. And that's
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. They're not. They're there to prepare the way for the bombers and the cruise missiles and whatnot.
Right.
But not really to defend us. So
how's the noise in Anacortes? Are you getting?
It comes and goes. Sometimes they're crazy loud, and other times they're up high. I've measured 110 dBm.
Wow, that's a lot.
at the loudest on my little handheld.
Right. And people don't realize, I always bring this up, is decibels are like the Richter scale, so it is, when you're going from 10 decibels to 20 decibels, that's a 100% increase in sound. And so it's, you got to understand that, geometric progression of that. So yeah, that's a lot. And
Thanks for what you guys are doing there. That's all.
oh, thank you. And maybe you can make a comment on, because it's been, the other thing I'm hearing is wet jet noise. It's kind of quiet. And so maybe you could fill in folks, are they trying to mess with the averaging, or are they trying to lay low and then crank back up again? Because it has been, kind of quiet a little bit.
Yeah, and it is a bit of a mystery. And there are times when I've called our mayor and said, "Okay, what's going on? It's been way too quiet for way too long." And she's like, "You know how it works, and they're waiting till they need to ramp up, and then when they need to deploy, we'll have at least 3 and sometimes 4 weeks of build up,
Right.
and FCLPs." In preparation for their deployment. So it's been, I think, an unusually quiet year. And doesn't mean that they haven't been, I mean, and that's from my perspective in Coopville. I know people on the peninsula say it has not been quiet at all. People in Forks in particular talk about the monitoring project that's going on over there that just is constant. Sometimes it's 6 hours a day, and it's really awful. So it's so dependent on where people are. And I wish I had the inside scoop about what they do, when, and why they are doing what they're doing. But I mean, I know as much as I just said in terms of the outlying field in Coopville. And I do think there are factors like wind and water and other kind of aspects of our environment that do impact the actual experience of the noise. And I'm not obviously I'm not a scientist, and I'm not an expert on noise, but those folks certainly talk about those other elements and how they impact the experience of noise.
And I think one of the hard things about Camano is we don't seem to be, when they're practicing takeoffs and landings, that doesn't always have as much impact as what they do during the day when nothing's happening there. We get roars in the morning that will go on for an hour or more, and don't see any planes. Or then we'll see planes, and then they, if they go over in the morning, you can bet they'll be coming back in the afternoon at some point. So it's, it'd be hard to invite somebody here and guarantee that they're going to get plane noise or have any idea when they're going to get it.
There was actually a point in time when Patty Murray was invited to Central Whidbey, and she came to walk around Eby's Landing and go up to the bluff, and it was very intentional that she was scheduled on a day that the jets were flying. Guess what? The word got out, and they canceled.
That stinks.
So we'll do our best. Yes. So Bob Tivell did ask, has anyone else measured the decibel of noise when the planes fly over their house? So other folks measuring?
I've measured several times, many times actually. The highest I've gotten here is about 93 decibels, but regularly we get in the 80 range over our woods. So
yep, with 6 hours of that through a day, that's awful.
Right.
Yeah, right. Other people's measurements?
Yeah, I've gotten over 100 out on the deck, depending on which direction they're flying. So.
Other folks? I mean, I've gotten 110 with it's when they're afterburner. It's the noise of the afterburner that particularly will take it up over 100 over our home.
What does one do to measure decibels? How do you do that?
Great question. We should make sure that in our next newsletter we have this information about the best decibel meter. Do you have a best decibel meter that you use, Phil? I know there's one that we are recommending, and I don't have it on the tip of my tongue, but I can certainly send that out.
The
Oh, Melissa Fielding says DecibelX Pro. This is in the chat. DecibelX Pro. I think that's what she used, DecibelX Pro, and her range is 90 to 120. And Lou also said his max was 90 decibels on the Bluff. Amy over 110 in Anacortes. It's not usually that loud. And I use, I can certainly say what I use, but Phil, what do you use?
I've got an old decibel meter from Radio Shack that I used to adjust my stereo system with, and so I'd get out on the deck, and it's a big handheld unit.
Got it. Yep. So there are those, and I have 3 of them on my phone.
Yeah, that's what I use.
There are phone ones that I know SDA has recommended. So I'll make sure that the list of people who are here get that information about what we recommend in terms of phone apps, because
And it's a good. This is a great segue for reminding people where to report the noise. So can you pass out that information?
Absolutely. So, as many people may know, the Navy actually changed their email address. There was one email address that basically wasn't functioning, and I think it was at least 4 months between the time when it went kaput to when it was actually someone from Corps who contacted the military and the Navy base and said, this website, this email's not working. And they said, oh, well, as a matter of fact, we just have a new one as of this week. And so so on our website, the Navy's phone number, the number for the call-in complaint line, as well as, which is, I think now usually a recording, you don't get a person. And there also is an email address. You can contact them, and particularly they are particularly interested in, are you experiencing the jets a lot lower than you think they should be, or they usually are? Are they seeming to be way off course? So that's the kind of information they're particularly interested in. But you can also say, I just used a decibel meter and clocked it at 110, and that is not healthy for human beings or animals. So contacting the Navy. Also, the San Juan County Jet Noise Report website is a really important resource. And again, if you go to the Sound Defense Alliance website and you scroll down to see Report Jet Noise, you will see the link that will take you to the San Juan County jet noise site. And what they are doing is tracking not only noise over San Juan County, but noise anywhere in this region and even over by Winthrop and central and eastern Washington. So you can the way it works is you can click to put a dot at the location where you heard this noise, and then you can make a comment, and you can tell them about the impact that the noise had. And so tell them is actually volunteers who go through and put a report together every other month of all of the data that's come in, how many people have submitted pins on that map, and it's a summary of the comments, and I read it every time it comes out, and it's like, oh my, if you get our newsletter, you will see some of the comments that we pull out. If you don't get our newsletter, be sure to go to our website and join us as a member. There's no fee to do that. Just join as an individual or as a member of an organization. If you have an organization that you think should be a partner with us, let us know that too. And if once you join and give us your email and other contact information, you will be in our database and you'll receive our newsletter. So contact the Navy, contact the San Juan County Jet Noise Report site. And you can, it was midnight a year or two ago, and I called Patty Murray's office and said, it is June, and it is 1 a.m. on a June night, this was pre-COVID. Kids are still trying to go to school tomorrow. This is a Tuesday night. How can this be? Please do something to stop this. I was so irate, you know. So you can call your elected officials and leave messages too, and they listen. They get the word, you know. That does get to them. We're not so sure about what happens with the Navy data, but we do know that the San Juan County data gets out and is sent to our elected officials, and we receive it too at Sound Defense Alliance. And we know our elected officials have wonderful staff, and they do convey those messages to our elected officials. So I know we're starting to wind down. I want to see if there were any other questions or comments before I talk a little bit more about ways that you can get involved. But I did want to see if anybody else had a comment, a question, an experience you wanted to share.
Saw one comment pop up that they wanted to know if they should call every time they hear the noise.
Yes.
So
yes. Every time they fly, every time. It's really important because that's part of what the comments are being compiled, but also the frequency of those pins, the number of pins is also being analyzed and tallied. So do contact the San Juan Jet Noise website every time that you hear that, every time that they are particularly annoying. And I think Lou said the biggest issue we experience is those night flights that go on past midnight. I agree. That's just the worst. It's just the worst. Yeah. Anybody else? Let's see. Ken Minchella asked about a recording, which I am so sorry that Bud's recommendation that we have a professional Zoom person will be happening for our Whidbey Island event, which is happening on the 17th of August. But meanwhile, you had to settle for me, and I did not push that record button until well after the halfway mark on this. So Ken will get the second half, but actually I think that's when he stepped away. And will the Navy's real-time monitoring be accurate? Okay, so we are preparing for a sham. We know that it's certainly very possible that this whole monitoring project that they have set up will be an effort to essentially say the modeling and the averaging that we are doing is working for us, and see our real-time noise monitoring is supporting that. So that is certainly a possibility. That is why we want the data, we want the flight information, we want to be able to see the report well in advance of it going to Congress, because it may well not be accurate. So we're prepared for that. We also are doing our own real-time noise monitoring project that Sound Defense Alliance has organized. So we have a couple volunteers who are working on that, one of whom is a sound expert, and we are I think we're pretty close to wrapping up the data collection, and so there's a combination of some data analysis going on as some data collection is going on too. But they've actually struggled with, like, where are the jets? And actually moving a monitor at one point because it had been so quiet that they were looking for another place. So yeah, you got to wonder about. We all wonder about these, about when they fly and when they don't fly. So anything else from other folks before I do a little wrap up about what you can do? Okay. Well, I also just want to acknowledge that Jill Johnstone and Joan Shramick and Jen, all three of you, is Jen still on this? All three of those folks have been really helpful in working with Phil to organize this. So thank you to local volunteers. And we are, that's a really essential part of being able to make these community events happen and work, and get the word out as broadly and widely as we can. So
I saw iPhone may want to pop in. I think he has a question.
Great. So
Did you have a question? All I see is the name on the iPhone.
yeah.
No.
I missed it.
Are you
Let's
talking
stop.
to me? I asked a question.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I know that you're waiting to see about these reports coming out, and we may get them just before they're released.
Mhm.
Are we prepared to send our own information if we don't get that, so we're not on just defense and, you know, waiting to the last minute and not being able to present our information?
Mhm. Yes, yes. That is part of why our monitoring has been going on for quite a while, and we're in a wrap-up mode in terms of, we hope, in terms of collecting the data, and the analysis is going on now. So yes, that's a really good question, and it's a really important point that we have been, and unfortunately, the Navy tends to discount anyone's data other than their own. However, our elected officials are there to listen to us. And so our information, our data will be certainly sent to them and the Navy, and we will take a really strong, clear position about that. But thank you, because preparation is one of the things that we've been talking about in terms of being prepared, and it's really important to not be on the defensive, but be on the offensive, as you point out, really really well.
Are you going to bring up the Canadians that have been really upset that are now being brought into this?
Thank
And
you. Yeah.
or what it was. So I'll remember.
That's a great point too. Thank you. We actually did get contacted by a radio station on Vancouver Island. It was probably 6 months ago, but just wanting to. So we have not done a great job of connecting, finding people there to become a kind of a leadership team on Vancouver Island, or specifically in Victoria. But you're absolutely right. They are really upset. And yeah, if you have any ideas, we welcome your ideas. And if you want to get involved with that, we would love it.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, well, thanks to each of you for being here. So again, if you have not joined the Sound Defense Alliance, it's really easy. Go right on our website, join, contact your elected officials, tell them how you feel, and we will certainly be in touch with you at any point when we are doing alerts, and it's like, oh, now's the time to contact your elected official about these 3 asks that we've made about the real-time noise monitoring. They need to hear from you too. So we'll certainly be sending out alerts at a point in time when that's appropriate for you too to contact your elected officials specifically around these 3 issues that we're talking to them about right now. So we also have a community consensus survey that we sent out, and when I send out the information about the noise monitoring what apps, I will also send out the link to this community consensus survey, because we're collecting information. One of the things, again, that Maria Cantwell's office asked for was, they said, we want to know what really matters to people. And so this survey asks you what really matters in terms of changes that the Navy can make. And we're saying relocation is the bottom line. That is the most important thing to everyone. And there's a whole range of other questions related to community consensus. So we would love your input if you haven't had a chance to fill out that survey. So I'll send the link to that survey along with the app, the information on phone apps. So think about volunteering. There are lots of ways you can connect with us, whether it's through our research committee or communications, helping us with our newsletter, working to help spread the word in your own community and get more people to join the Sound Defense Alliance, which is a really important aspect of our work in terms of building our base. And do contact your local elected officials to get their support for relocating the growlers, acknowledging this is a step-by-step process, but talk to your local folks. It's really important to get them on board. So we really will appreciate work that you are doing along those lines, because it's a bottom-up movement, and it's great for federal elected officials to look over their shoulders and go, oh, there's all these other state elected officials who have our back, and then for those folks, all of them, to turn around and say, look at these local elected officials. They also have our back. They also stand with us. So that's a really critical piece. Don't forget to call in and put your pin on that map. And if you have questions tomorrow, send them to our info at sounddefensealliance.org, which you can get that on our website as well. Send us your questions. We want to keep talking to you and keep engaging and thinking together about the work that we're doing. So thanks to each of you, and thanks to Cindy, thanks to Phil. Have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much for all you're doing.